Greetings, heroes! You are here because you're contemplating joining the military. Well, first, congratulations. I'm prepared to take a step that'll benefit you the rest of your life. The discipline, appreciation of service, and camaraderie will prepare you for whatever comes. Now, people always asking me, well, what can I do to prepare for basic training? Well, honestly, you can't prepare enough. You need to get physical, you need to run, you need to do push-ups, and you need to do sit-ups. And then when you're done, you need to run, do more push-ups, and more sit-ups. All day, every day. But learning how the military works is equally important. So today, we're going to go over the NATO phonetic alphabet. I know you've heard it on your Call of Duty games, but we're going to show you how the Army really uses it, and you can have a step ahead when you get to basic training by already knowing this. Now, learning this won't only help you in the military, but it'll make sure you're giving your email correctly over the phone to that hot little something you've been trying to lure into your dirty hooch. Then when they steal your Xbox, you can correctly read off their license plate as they drive off into the distance. But I digress. Now, the NATO phonetic alphabet hadn't always been like today. During World War II, it went like this: Abel, Baker, Charlie, Dog, Easy, Fox, George, Howl, Item, Jig, King, Love, Mike, Nan, Oboe, Peter, Queen, Roger, Sugar, Tear, Uncle, Victor, William, X-Ray, Yoke, and Zebra. Well, it's not like that anymore. Now it's pretty much standardized. If you look over here to my left, your right, we're going to go through how it's presented today. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-Ray, Yankee, and Zulu. Along with the letters, you're going to need to know the numbers, but that's for the next training block. Now, learning this takes practice. The best thing you can do is just do it over and over again in your head. Get some flashcards, walk around, read license, but do what you gotta do. It just takes practice, and you're gonna want it to be second nature when that drill sergeant's in your face. Now it's time for check on learning. I'm gonna throw the letter up there, and you go through and see if you can put the correct name with it. Alright, good job, heroes. Tune in for the next episode and we'll go over the numbers. Y'all got any questions? Alright, y'all drive on. At ease, at ease. Everybody take a seat, shut your pie holes, and prepare to copy. Today we're going to talk about the Infantry Fire Team. Now, some of you are thinking about joining the infantry or may already be there and don't know what you're doing. I want you to take some notes and get a good idea about what's expected of you and what role you play. The Infantry Fire Team is designed to fight as a team and is the fighting element within the infantry platoon. Your platoon and company will succeed or fail if the fire team succeeds or fails. Your normal fire team is broken down into a team leader, a grenadier, an automatic rifleman, and then just a rifleman. Now, the rifleman is the baseline standard for all infantrymen and is an integral part of the fire team. He must understand his weapon, understand his buddy's weapon, and have the ability to place well-aimed effective fire on the bad guys. Along with this, he's got to know how to create a firing position, how to actually shoot from it, understand his role within his unit, continue to develop himself so he understands all the other aspects of being in the infantry, such as how to lay wire, deal with EPWs, work as aid and leader, and sometimes even demolitions. A lot of times, young soldiers just getting into the role of, well, my sergeant or team leader is going to tell me what to do. That shit's got to stop. As a soldier, you need to be constantly assessing yourself and asking, do I know what I need to know? And am I ready to take the next step? Next, let's talk about the grenadier. Now, a grenadier carries a grenade launcher with him. The reason you need this grenade launcher is so when them bad guys are down in that ditch and your guns can't hit them and you ain't got no mortar support, you can call on your partner to lob this grenade in there and bring the shut down. The grenadier's got to do everything the rifleman does. He's just got an additional duty of humping them rounds and being able to place them effectively on the enemy. The big things he needs to keep in mind are the maximum effective ranges of his rounds, be able to adjust as he's shooting, load that grenade launcher quickly and efficiently, and understand his mission 2 levels up. Next, you got the automatic rifleman. Now these days, these riflemen are carrying a saw. His job is to suppress enemy infantry, bunkers, destroy automatic rifles, and anti-tank teams, and enable the movement of other teams and squads. Now, he's normally the senior soldier of the fire team. He's got to be able to accomplish all the tasks of the rifleman and the grenadier, assume the duties of the team leader and squad leader, be able to engage groups of enemy personnel, thin-skinned vehicles, bunker doors, things like that. He puts fire down on these targets to try and keep them bad guys from moving so the rest of his partners can maneuver into place and secure the area. The final thing I'm going to talk about is the team leader. The team leader is basically your daddy. He is in charge of everything you do right and then everything you do wrong. The most important trait is his ability to be able to function as a leader, work with initiative, and stay on mission. If you want to be a good team leader, you don't need to be waiting on what your platoon sergeant or squad leader tell you to do. You need to know what you need to do. He's a subject matter expert on all the weapons he carries within that team. He needs to be able to have that saw, maintain a good rate of fire so the other teams can maneuver. And when bounding, he needs to work with his other team leader to make sure that they're exchanging automatic fire to keep the enemy's head down. Have you ever heard that? You ever heard 2 saws or M60s talking to each other? It's like the first time you heard the Beatles. A tear will come to your eye. He maintains field discipline, manages combat load and resupply, and understands 2 levels up, squad and platoon sergeant. Bottom line is, the team leader is responsible for everything you do right and wrong. And it's normally a corporal or a buck sergeant in their first position as a non-commissioned officer. So 2 weeks ago, when your buddy was just your buddy, then he got them stripes on, you wonder why he's kind of being a dick. Well, it's because his ass is under the fire and he's being held accountable for everything you don't do. Alright, we're going to stop right there. I recommend you hit FM 3-21.8, the Infantry Rifle Platoon and Squad. It's got all this information. There's a good reference point on what you need to know if you're going to be somebody that puts on a ruck, picks up a weapon, and closes with the enemy. I'm sure there's some things I missed and some details you all probably know better. If so, write them down below and we'll discuss. You got any questions? Alright, carry the fuck on. Alright, at ease. Simmer down, shut your pie holes. We gotta burn through this PowerPoint in a quick and efficient manner. Today we're gonna talk about the Army values and ethics. Next slide. Here's all the administrative data. You know the classroom norms. You better be in uniform. Put your cell phones away. Your honey can wait. Ain't taking no breaks. This won't take long. Environmental considerations. Don't worry about that. You in the Army and risk assessment. Only risk is gonna be if you're not paying attention, I'm gonna bury my foot in your ass. Here are the references. Half y'all don't know how to read. Next slide. The Army values and ethics. Our conditions are given a classroom training environment. An instructor such as myself, all you soldiers, will be provided everything you need to know to understand how to be an ethical soldier. Next slide. I'm an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. And I will never leave a fallen comrade. That includes in a bar or a local drinking establishment. I'm a disciplined, physically and mentally tough. I'm I'm trained and proficient in all my tasks. I will maintain my arms and equipment and myself. Some of y'all need that tape test, need to think about that line. I'm an expert and a professional. I'm ready to do what needs to be done, a guardian of freedom, an American soldier. All soldiers need to understand these values and act on them at all times, on and off duty. They're the cornerstone of being in the military, and this don't change whenever we deploy. Most of y'all do the right thing when you're supposed to do it. You execute good judgment, display patience and restraint even in front of some of our enemies, and even do the right thing when nobody's watching. That means not stealing that sweet roll from the chow hall, Private Elbert. Unfortunately, there are some of y'all who choose the wrong path. Some of y'all think all Muslims are the enemy and treat them with contempt. You need to keep that to yourself. Some simply fail to do the right thing even when they know they should. You know who I'm talking about. The result is a stain not only on themselves, but also for the unit they represent. Make sure you stay grounded in your values and don't lose sight of the fact that eventually you're going to be going home or leaving your training. And when you get back home, make sure you've done the right thing so Mama and Daddy are proud of you. Loyalty to America. Demonstrating your loyalty is extremely important to the Army functions. You gotta be loyal to mission on all tasks, from the simple to the complex. And every soldier needs to perform their duties as technically and tactically as possible, even under extreme circumstances. It's your job to complete the mission, and it's your duty to do what is both ethically and legally right. Respecting individuals is the law. You need to respect the dignity of not only your fellow soldiers, our partners and coalition partners, but local nationals wherever we happen to be fighting. And show a little bit of restraint and not abuse them detainees, whether you want to or not. Part of serving is selfless service. You demonstrate this selfless service by preparing yourself both mentally and physically. Knowing your job and what you need to do is the number one thing you need to track on. Now, honor provides the moral compass. Some of y'all slipping in this. Your buddy who always tends to do the right thing and get your ass hemmed up is the one you need to track on and make sure you keep him in line. He fucks up, I'm smoking you. You need to demonstrate honorable behavior by taking the right actions, not crossing that line. Integrity just comes down to treat the prisoners of war humanely, because that's what we're supposed to do here in the U.S. Engage only combatants with deadly force, and respect and protect non-combatants. And if the enemy wants to surrender, let him surrender. Collect and care for the wounded. Don't be desecrating on no dead bodies. You remember them boys that peed all over them boys in Afghanistan? Press was all over that shit. Don't be them. Personal courage. You obviously got some personal courage because you made the decision to put on this uniform, ruck up, and eventually close with the enemy. Have the courage to not only do the right thing in the enemy's face, but the courage to inform the chain of command if there are problems that exist. Exhibiting strong Army values demonstrate your leadership qualities. These values help make good soldiers, strong leaders, and an unbeatable Army. Alright, y'all got any questions? Alright, sign that roster. Get out of my face. Alright. At ease, everybody. Get out your pen and paper and prepare to copy. Today's lesson, we're going to go over the infantry squad. Now, there's different variations of infantry, but there's only one type of infantry squad. Its job is to act as a maneuver or base of fire element. While the platoon's task organization may change, the organization of the infantry squad pretty much remains standard. The squad's made up of 2 fire teams and a squad leader. These teams can act independently, and each is capable of maneuver or base of fire. The team leaders control their team, which allows the squad leader to focus on the squad as a whole. Now, the squad leader directs his team leaders and leads by example. He's responsible for their actions. Things change fast on the battlefield, and the squad leader's got to be an independent thinker who can complete missions on his own initiative without constantly being told what to do. Now, during operations, the squad leader is the subject matter expert on all the battle drills. He controls the movement of his squad and its rate and distribution of fire. He selects the fire team's general location and sector in the defense. He has to communicate the accurate reports up to his chain of command, keep his platoon leader advised, and his platoon sergeant know the status of ammunition, casualties, and all his required reports. He should be able to operate in any environment, including an urban environment, conduct troop leading procedures, and understand his job 2 levels up. Let's talk about the squad designated marksman. Let me be very clear that the designated marksmen are not snipers. They are fully integrated members of the rifle squad who provide an improved capability for their squad. They don't operate as semi-autonomous elements on the battlefield like snipers do, nor do they routinely engage targets at extreme long ranges like a sniper would. What the marksman does have is an optically enhanced weapon meaning he's got the best of the scopes. He's normally just humping an M4, but sometimes can get upgraded to a better weapon if the equipment's available. Normally, the rifleman that's assigned to the designated marksman is chosen for his demonstrated shooting ability. This boy can put a round up a fly's ass, no doubt, but his mission remains to his team and to the squad itself. He's got to be able to detect and engage targets rapidly, a lot of times from awkward and non-standing fire positions, while both he and his target are moving. If the squad has 2 qualified designated marksmen, one in each team, makes that squad a much more effective combat element. Now next, let's talk about the infantry weapons squad. The weapons squad provides the primary base of fire for the platoon's maneuver. It's made up of 2 machine gun teams, 2 medium close combat missile teams, and a weapons squad leader. Now the 2 machine gun teams provide the platoon with medium range area suppression up to about a clip. Now normally the gunner should be the senior member of the team. I know a lot of times they make that young Joe hump that weapon, but it should be the senior member because he's responsible not only for himself, but for the assistant gunner and the gun equipment. He advises the rifle squad leader the best way to employ that machine gun. He enforces field discipline while the gun is employed tactically, and he knows the effects of that weapon on all types of targets. He reports up round counts and makes sure his chain of command knows where they are as far as all that's concerned, so he can remain combat ready. Currently, the missile teams are humping a Javelin missile. Now, a Javelin missile can destroy fortified positions up to 2 clicks away. Javelin has proven itself effective during day, night, and in the worst of conditions. So as you can see, an infantry squad is basically there for maneuver and to go ahead and get in and close with the enemy, while that weapons squad lays fire down and lets them boys continue to move more effectively, with the missile teams there just to cover them long-range targets. And I recommend you watch this video several times. Understand what your squad is, understand what your role is. If you got any questions, feel free to write me, firstsergeantlittletop@gmail.com, and I'll answer them the best I can. Next, we're going to talk about the platoons. Y'all tune back in. Anybody got any questions? Alright, carry the on. Alright, this is the mandatory brief on the law of war. It's the rules that govern the conduct of soldiers in military operations. Your conditions are given a classroom where you're sitting. A judge, advocate, general court, JAG officer, paralegal, NCO, or someone else who's qualified to give this briefing. The standard is y'all get the briefing and understand the duties and responsibilities as a member of the U.S. Army, according to the law of war. Training objectives. Understand the need for the law of war. Understand the legal basis. Understand the basic principles. And apply the 9 low standards, the soldier's rules. Alright, the law of war. What is law? Law of war, legal basis. The Hague Regulations, Geneva Conventions, other international treaty law, international and customary law of war, and reflection of international legal values. Why do we need it? To assist the commanders and soldiers in mission accomplishment, to regulate the use of force, to protect against unnecessary suffering, and to promote the humane treatment of non-combatants, wounded, sick, and civilians. Why do you need to follow the law of war? Well, number one, you're a soldier, and we say so. But it also promotes a disciplined, more effective fighting force, supports U.S. operations home and abroad, an early end to hostilities, and reciprocal adherence by law of war by the enemy. Hopefully. It's the right thing to do, and it's a law. War crimes are serious charges. You don't want that on your record. Next slide. The basic principles of military necessity, unnecessary suffering, discrimination or distinction, and proportionality. Military necessity. The principle of military necessity is explicitly confided to the regulations respecting the laws and customs of war. Good Lord, who wrote this? This is crazy. The bottom line is, military necessity refers to the use of force not otherwise prohibited by the law of war, which is necessary for the complete submission of the enemy as soon as possible. Destructive force must be directed at legitimate military sources, so don't be squeezing off rounds in the direction of the playground. Unavoidable destruction of non-military persons and property in the course of destroying a legitimate target is known as collateral damage. It is normally not a law of war violation. The targeting of a military target that results in excessive collateral damage is unlawful. Don't drop a J-dam when you're trying to get a door open, you know what I'm saying? And military necessity is not a defense for acts expressly prohibited by international law. Next slide. Unnecessary suffering. This rule prohibits weapons which cause unnecessary suffering, like fragmenting bullets and other things like that. Next slide. Discrimination. The soldiers have got to distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. Now, some of y'all that have farted dust overseas, that ain't always an easy thing to do. But our objective is to try and separate the good guys from the bad guys. Soldiers have got to adhere to the customary international law obligation to engage only in military operations, where the effects distinguish between the civilian population and military objectives. Basically what they're saying here, boys, is you gotta keep separate the good guys and the bad guys. But in both Afghanistan and Iraq, this ain't always easy to do. Next slide. Alright, proportionality. Loss of civilian life and damage to civilian property must not be excessive. Next slide. The 10 laws of war standards. Number 1, fight only combatants. Number 2, treat humanely all who surrender or are captured. Now this ain't gonna be easy to do, especially if some of your partners have taken some rounds and these are the cats that were shooting at them. Number 3, do not kill or torture detained personnel. You're probably gonna wanna, don't do it. Number 4, collect and care for the wounded. 5, do not attack protected persons and protected places. You've got to respect the culture. Whether or not they're doing it, you still have to. Destroy no more than the mission requires and treat all civilians humanely. Chances are they're caught in the shitstorm just like you are. Next slide. The soldier's rule number 8, respect private property and possessions, prevent violations, and report violations. Fight only combatants. Well, that sounds good on paper. Ain't always that easy to do. A combatant is anyone engaged in hostilities. They may be persons declared hostile, persons engaged in a hostile act, or demonstrating hostile intent. Number 2, treat humanely all who surrender or are captured. Next slide. You keep going through these, boys. Alright, provide humane treatment, alright? If they need medical attention, give them medical attention. Food, water, simple things. Wait, I'm coming back to this. Alright, protect from public humiliation or curiosity. Now look, if you got an insurgency group that's hitting you, the local neighborhoods may not be down with them. And if you end up getting them, securing them, and the local populace gets a hold of them, they might string them up with a quickness. You need to protect them from getting hurt. International and domestic law applies to federal employees and contractors. Little FYI. Alright, treat humanely everybody that's surrendered and captured. Females will be treated with respect. Protect them from sexual assault, both from soldiers, DOD people, and the local populace. Females are entitled to respect their persons and their honor. Don't kill or torture detained personnel. And don't do like them boys did where they peed all over the guys they killed. Got hemmed up all over the news. Make good decisions. Collect and care for the wounded. The laws of war require you to care for wounded. Once they're out of the fight, take care of them. Triage the most seriously wounded, whether they're friendly or enemy, and safeguard them from further attack. Baghdad, 2004. A U.S. soldier was sentenced to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to killing a severely wounded Iraqi teenager. The soldier also received a reduction in rank to private, forfeiture of wages, and dishonorably discharged. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of unpremeditated murder and 1 count of soliciting another soldier to commit unpremeditated murder. The charges relate to the August 18th killing of a 16-year-old Iraqi male found in a burning truck with severe abdominal wounds sustained during clashes in Baghdad, Sadr City. Look, bottom line is, it is not your decision, and you do not have the responsibility to decide who you kill and who you don't. Alright, if you secured the objective, you can secure the personnel, and don't think there's no mercy killings. That's not for you to decide. Collect and care. The obligation to collect and protect the wounded extends to the dead. Mutilation or desecration of dead bodies is a violation of the laws of war. Do not attack protected persons in protected places. Next slide. Do not attack medical personnel, facilities, or equipment. Hospitals off limits. Not okay to co-locate hospital with a SAM site or hide large weapons with supplies there. That's what the enemy does. We don't do that. Hospitals, medics, or medical vehicles can lose their status if they're used improperly. Destroy no more than the mission requires. Only target legitimate military objectives. Minimize collateral damage. All civilians gotta be respected. Next slide. Next slide. Civilian property. Don't retain it unless it's contraband. You don't get to keep whatever you want, boys. It's just how it is. War trophies. Don't keep anything unless you're allowed to keep something. That's not your decision. Number 8, soldiers don't steal. Alright, you don't get to go take the chic sport utility vehicle out for a spin. That's not your lane. Soldiers don't steal. You know these things that are happening right here? That's a My Lai massacre and over in Germany in the concentration camps. Report these violations. If you see something happen, it's your duty to report the laws of war violations up through your chain of command. The term "I was just following orders" is not a defense. Oh. In summary, you need to understand and obey the laws of war. It's your duty and it's a law. Target based on military necessity only. Don't cause unnecessary suffering, minimize collateral damage, discriminate, distinguish targets and objectives, and use the appropriate amount of force following these rules. If y'all got any questions, talk to your squad leader, team leader, platoon sergeant, or you can roll back through the video. I appreciate y'all sitting through this. Took a little longer than I wanted, but go ahead and sign that roster. Make sure you get credit. What? Any questions? Alright, y'all carry the fuck on.